Welcome to the 2016-17 NCAA Women's Ice Hockey Rules and Officiating Video Supplement. This video is focused on the women's game and is in addition to the larger rules and officiating video that applies to all NCAA play. Please be sure to review both videos thoroughly. It is our goal that this year's presentation will help provide clear guidance to establish consistent judgment, enforcement, and interpretation to all the rules. If you believe you have some video examples that would assist in educating officials in the women's game, please share them with your conference coordinator of officials and national coordinator, Tom DeFusco. Thank you to all the coaches and conference coordinators who assisted in the identification of the footage used in this video. In this rules cycle, the Points of Emphasis section calls attention to several areas of the game that the NCAA Men's and Women's Ice Hockey Rules Committee believe must be improved through a stronger emphasis on existing rules and add some clarifications. This segment focuses on the overall standard of play and player health and safety with the use of video from women's competition. The following clips are clear examples and are intended to educate officials and coaches to proper enforcement. This clip is a clear example of the standard of play and the health and safety of players. The player in green is clearly impeding the progress of the player in white, which forces her to lose control of the puck as she enters the attacking zone. Also cross-checks her into the sideboards. These two examples must be called penalties. In this clip, the player in white slashes and continues to high stick the player in green off the face-off. Being a points of emphasis this rule cycle, this type of infraction must be called to maintain a good standard of play as well as the player's health and safety. Here is a good example of a player in the green jersey tripping the player in the red jersey from behind. This should always be called a penalty. Here is a clear example of a leg check that is a dangerous play. This type of play should always be called. Face-offs are a critical part of our game, and interference has long been a topic of discussion at the Rules Committee meetings. From the officiating standpoint, penalties of this type can be difficult to detect, especially if a three-person officiating system is in use. Officials must be aware of contact that clearly impedes an opponent and meets the requirements for interference. This example shows the red team wingers clearly interfering with the wingers in the dark jerseys as play begins. This is face-off interference and must be called a minor penalty. Here the player in the dark jersey clearly impedes her opponent in the white jersey. This is a face-off interference and must be called. Here the player in the white jersey clearly impedes her opponent in the dark jersey, so her winger gets possession of the puck. This is face-off interference and must be called. The overall video provides several clear examples of goalkeeper offensive player interaction. In women's hockey, plays around the net can be difficult to judge. This sequence is focused on examples of goalkeeper interference penalties that must be enforced. Remember that the new guidance is not intended to allow more contact with goalkeepers by attacking players. The following clips are all examples of goalkeeper interference penalties that must be enforced. As we all know, body checking is not permitted in any area of the ice in women's hockey. Body checking occurs when a player's intent is to gain possession of the puck by separating the puck carrier from the puck with a distinct and definable movement of impact. Any direct body check initiated by a player shall be penalized under this rule. This is a standard of play we must enforce. This is one of the most difficult determinations that officials must make in the women's game. The following videos are all examples of penalties that must be enforced. The first two clips are examples of contact to the head penalties in women's hockey. When a contact to the head penalty occurs, officials should not default to a minor penalty for body checking. This was identified as a growing issue in women's hockey by the Rules Committee. The next two examples show contact that is late and unnecessary. Officials must penalize these actions and be cognizant of late, unsuspecting contacts such as this. Hitting from behind is not just a rule for men's hockey. This is a rule in effect for women's hockey for the same student-athlete safety reasons as it is on the men's side, and the same penalties apply. It is important to be especially diligent when contact, especially from behind, becomes a check and therefore meets the description of hitting from behind. Hitting from behind into the boards or goal cage must be penalized with a major penalty and either a game misconduct or disqualification at the discretion of the referee. Just as it is in the men's game, the responsibility lies in the player delivering the contact. The committee understands that in some cases, a player will be penalized for an unintentional hit. but student-athlete safety is the overriding concern. The following clips are all examples of hitting from behind penalties that must be enforced. In NCAA hockey at all levels, the expectation for referees and linesmen are to be in the best position possible at all times. Being in the proper position, especially when making difficult rulings, makes it clear to everyone in the building that you had the best possible view of the play. It is important to always put yourself in position to view the play around the goal or on the lines. Here are two clear examples of offsides that result in a goal. There are times when linesmen get screened, but in the four-person system, these types of calls should not be missed. In the four-person officiating system, there really is no excuse for a referee not to be in a position at the goal. The back referee has responsibility for any transitional plays leaving the zone, so the deep official should always be in good position. Being close to the net to make the correct call without becoming part of the play is always your end goal. Great job in this clip to be in position. Thank you for your time and attention to this presentation. And on behalf of the NCAA, good luck on a safe and successful season.